You could read the resolution 11A.
A resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, adopting the final master plan design for the town's 16-acre legacy park and municipal complex project and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you very much. Ralph, sir.
Thank you, members of council. Tonight we have Charles Mickelson from Salt Mickelson and Associates. It's with great pleasure that we've kind of seen this journey throughout our process with our 16-acre legacy park municipal complex, and I think that we're at the final stages with several meetings. And again, I don't want to say too much. I want to steal too much of Charles's presentation. So with that, Charles.
We're on now. Very good. It's a pleasure to stand in front of you again, here representing not only my firm, Saltz Michelson Architects, but Michael Graves' firm, architects firm, and EDSA. It's really a wonderful team that's been put together, and again, we're very appreciative of being selected to be on this journey with you. And we're ecstatic about the work that's been done, the interaction that we've had with everybody, and the way the plan and master plan has come to fruition. So what I'd like to do now is I have a brief PowerPoint presentation that's coming up on the screen, and be able to talk about the master plan and just reinforce the journey on how we have got here. Hopefully this site is recognized by all of you, because this is the site the way it stands today. 212 97th Street, 97th Avenue, that's stopped. You start to see the Publix development to the north side of the property, the out parcel to the west side of the property, and easily recognizable as the farm that it once was, with many mature trees on the site. As we started this journey, as we started to look at the initial concepts for the site, we recognized the scale of the site that the city was requesting. We recognized the adjacencies from the residential to the public center to the adjacent properties. And by virtue of the program that was in the original RFQ, we started to conceptualize, as you can see here, a hand-drawn drawing with some magic markers on how the site might lay out. By doing it this way, it's the informal first step of the process. We get feedback. So one of the things, for example, if you notice on this site plan, we had all the parking on grade. So after the interaction, it was decided that we really needed to study, investigate, and incorporate a parking garage into the project for the benefit of the project. And that started to be some of the image here. This is another hand drawing, a little bit more refined, but it's starting to take form and more shape than the informal previous drawing that you saw. The locations of the buildings are more exact. The shapes are starting to come through fruition by virtue of the program that has been established and taking a look at. The different spaces on the site itself, the informal fields and amphitheaters, and the fact that it was identified and determined as a sports park. We wanted to create the natural area, so retention area, the lake, making sure we had walkways and picnic areas and places for interactive fountain and a tot lot for children and things like that. We talked about extensively golf carts getting to the site. We spent time with the police department to talk about their concerns for securing the site, while on the other hand, we talked about the openness that the park should feel, and everybody should have access to it, and it should feel comfortable. So speaking to everybody, we believe we can achieve everybody's needs and deal with everybody's concern through good design. And that's part of the process that we're going through. So now we have the master plan. And on the master plan, you see it's taken the transition of going from the hand drawings into the computer. It means we're getting serious now. What is the master plan? Basically, this represents the layout of the site, the footprint from which the rest of the project will be developed. By virtue of finalizing the locations of the buildings now, we can actually start as the next step designing those buildings, because we know where the front door is and we know the orientation to the sun, and we'll be able to maximize the potential of each of those buildings by virtue of the locations they are. We've investigated the alternatives to the project. So we're happy with the locations of the buildings with regards to the parking garage and the community center and the conversations we've had with regards to the pool. So if you can see here, I know the scale might be a little difficult, but going through the legend, starting towards the traffic circle, the items 1, 2, and 3, the iconic feature, the art garden, a little water feature, wetland. We'll start on the adjacent piece of property as we cut through 97th Avenue. The Legacy Park signage will be there along the traffic circle on Cutler Road. So people will see it from multiple directions as they come and travel to the site or bypass the site. The old Cutler Road Trail, one of the things that we spoke about extensively and worked with EDSA was that we remember the canopy trees that were along this side on Old Cutler Road before the storm, and how other parts of Old Cutler Road has that charming character. We will replant those trees there and start to rebuild that character for the extension of Old Cutler Road. Item 7 is the town hall location, basically a 2-fronted building that'll be visible from 97th and accessible from 97th, which is safer for access, but very visible as well from Old Cutler Road in its elevated structure. And by virtue of its location, a 2-fronted building will make sure the design responds accordingly also. So people see the activity of government occurring as they drive past the building. The police station is adjacent to it. We talked about speaking to the public and speaking to the people, the different department heads. One of the variations on this plan is that you see that the police department has its own access drive, secure for some of its cars. And in the case of an emergency, they can ingress or egress very quickly without worrying about what's happening in the park whatsoever. No activity in the park has any impact upon the access of the police department and the egress of the police department. And that came from having some good conversations and meeting with people that as we get enthused about the design of the park, we get into the details of how do we make it function the best for you. The parking garage. The parking garage is centrally located. The parking garage has access and will provide parking for the different buildings, be it the city hall, the police station, and the community center. It'll have parking in it for the park and easily be accessible from either side of the building to get to those activities. The community center arrival. One of the things that we have the community center in the park adjacent to the road that's shared with Publix. We think that's a good thing. Number one, we're going to create an entrance over there for pickup and drop off. We're going to create an opening over there. So for the future development of the out parcel, hopefully there'll be a restaurant or activities that complement the activity of the community center. And through good design, we'll connect the two together. Just because they're different properties and different owners doesn't mean that it represents a perimeter and a barrier. Good design ties everything together, and these projects complement each other, increase in value by that synergy as opposed to creating barriers. That's exactly what's happening on the other side with the public center. The public center is literally tied into parts of the park. Number 15 over there, for events, we have some food truck staging areas if we want that activity to occur. And we also have 25, space on that side of the property for market events, people to set up stands for some activities. So we're playing off the developed side of the property without impacting the natural side of the park. Going back though, number 15, we also have some additional food staging area at one of the entrances to the parking garage, which leads to an interactive water feature over there at the entrance to the park and close to the community center. That's adjacent to number 28, which is a tot lot play area. So we're starting to group these activities in clusters where they're easily accessible and there's synergy with those activities being adjacent to each other. 16 and 17, the wetland system. Part of the energy of this park is we wanted to create a natural environment. Again, It was specifically decided by everybody we discussed that this was not to be a sports park. The town already had its sports facility. This wanted to be a different kind of park, a passive park and a different activity park, but not a sports park. So here we've developed the water feature, the wetland system. We've talked about creating a boardwalk, you know, throughout the nature. So it has a warm sense of scale and feel to it, different than an asphalt walkway in a more traditional park. We have the 18, the little wetland lookouts where you can step out onto a wooden kind of porch or balcony that's literally above the water and have that feel and connection to nature at the right scale. That's very nice. Number 19, I know if I didn't come in with this tonight, I wouldn't be here tomorrow. We've identified access for golf carts in the community that's separate and distinct from where cars will travel. And we've provided, at this point in time, at least 88 parking spaces set aside for golf carts, separate and distinct from the on-grade parking for cars, and separate and distinct from the parking in the parking garage. 20, basically the focal point of the park itself is a beautiful pond, free-form shape, and then with landscaping clusters and designs around it that really emphasizes the local nature of South Florida environment with plants indigenous to this area, and then continuing with other landscaping that embellishes the activities of the park. The design of the landscaping in this park, I promise you, will be nothing short of extraordinary. This will not be the landscaping that you see around the shopping center. This will not be the landscaping that you see around the perimeter of a park, but this will be a highly sophisticated plan that brings nature and color and texture and smell that'll attract the birds to the site. And it'll really be a very warm character park design through landscaping that'll enhance all the activities around the park. The nature walkway area will have that feel to it. The picnic area will have that feel to it. And the fields and embellishments around the clustering of trees will have that feel to it. And like I said, we have an internationally recognized premier landscape design firm on our team. And I just can't wait to see as this project continues from the work that they're going to do. 22 represents the open lawn area. If somebody wants to have a picnic or some kids want to throw a Frisbee around, there's area to do that. At the same time, the shape of it is unique. So somebody can't set up goalposts and all of a sudden it becomes a soccer field. And when you through that, through the design, the clustering of trees and the shape around. One of the nice features that we have as you get back towards the community center, and you see that there's a pool between the community center and the parking garage, is that this is going to occur on an elevated level. Right now, the site is very low by virtue of where it is. Even if we bring it up to grade, there are certain activities that will be elevated by virtue of the volumes beneath them. Having an elevated pool and that being the same level as the community center, we're going to berm down and create effect looking towards the lake and looking towards that outdoor pavilion that we spoke about during the design concepts area. That small stage that can be used for a small band to play. In the evening, it'd be used for movies to be played. And not only will there be a lawn in front of it for people to sit on blankets, but if you can imagine a landscape bermed up, going up, where people can come and sit and watch an activity, it's really a unique feature here in South Florida because it has three-dimensionality to it that you usually don't see here in South Florida. But we're taking advantage of the height differential between where we need to put buildings for them to be safe above flooding criteria and the elevation of the park where it stands today. And we're going to use it to our advantage as a design feature. Number 21 is that stage event pavilion that I spoke about, not very large, but intimate in scale and multifunctional. So regardless of activities during the day or in the evening, it's really something that can be programmed in to the town's activities. 25, let's see, we're going through 22, 26. We extended the Vita Trail that exists behind the Publix property. So we're taking it from that point and we'll extend it in the park. So then it leads down to 212th. And then number 27 represents the existing public shopping center. Let's see, have I left anything out? Water features, community service terrace. No, I think that represents the list of everything that's being incorporated into the park. And again, this comes from listening to you. I can't reiterate enough how extraordinary it is to have a city work on a project for a year before they hire the design professionals to start to take a look at it. So you provided us with an extraordinary amount of information. And then the interaction we've had with the public and being at the events and just reinforced that the direction is consistent and people really like the direction we're going in and the details we've had. And one of the reasons I started today with the initial concepts and where we are today with this master plan that we hope you'll approve tonight is to show that we've listened to the nuances of what everybody had concerned about, but at the same time, the basic premise of the work you did and the work we did was solid. And I'm very comfortable standing here before you tonight saying we have a wonderful master plan for a project to be developed from. In terms of vital consistent statistics, just to make sure everybody understands that the work we're doing is consistent to what you've been representing to the community for a long time now, since the bond issue came out, is approximately 12 acres of the site still represents the natural park area. And you can see that the physical development of the buildings of the site represents approximately 4 out of the 16 acres. So the design pulled together in a manner consistent to what was always presented to the community. Additionally here, this diagram starts to put some three-dimensional aspects to the buildings, the garage, and the park. So you start to see the volumes take shape. Again, the buildings have not been designed yet, but volumetrically, you start to see that there's nothing overpowering about the locations of the building or the sizes of the building, that they'll fit very nicely into the community. The town hall will be very nicely visible from Cutler Road, and the neighbors directly to the bottom along 212th Street won't be greatly impacted by the construction or the buildings or the community center or the garage. Those are internal to the park, and they'll basically have a beautiful adjacent neighbor of the perimeter of the park itself. This is a programming diagram of the park, and this just tries to identify those activities that we spoke to under the master plan. The activity zones in the park, represents about 1.7 acres, 75 acres of the site is green area. The amphitheater is about 43,000 square feet, which is just under an acre. The lake represents about 1.9 acres in terms of size. So you start to get the feel of the different pieces of the activities on the site, what they represent in square footage. And for those that like statistics, looping around the perimeter of the site represents about 3/4 of a mile. So you can start to get your iPads and all the other watches out. And as you start to walk, you can start to see the areas and distances over the different walkways and activities as they start to come. This is a circulation diagram. So what's important with regards to the circulation on site is you start to see the separation of the cars, the pedestrians, and the golf carts. So let me just turn that up here. Diagrammatically, it looks very nice, but what it shows to a design professionals is that the hierarchy of spaces work. The circulation of cars is around the perimeter. You see no conflict between the cars and pedestrians, and you see minimal conflicts, if any at all, between cars and the golf carts. And then you see the walkways the shape of the walkways start to tell you the character that the park design is going to take. There are no straight sidewalks here and curbs. Nobody's going to mistake anything in this park for being a walk along an avenue or something like that. So again, this starts to show the character of the site circulation. Once again, we have here the slide of the final master plan, a little bit enlarged so you can see it a little clearer. And again, we're very excited about all the elements that make up this project. And we're excited about the sizes of the spaces that we have. So all these activities not only can function, but they can function to a very nice size and scale. They're not too large and they're not too big. They really think they're sized right for the town of Cutler Bay. And with that, again, we haven't designed the buildings yet, but we're looking for a contemporary image to the buildings and character of the site we've designed. We're going to take a look at the environment and sustainable items that are not only sensitive to the local community from what we use, but also in the construction of the buildings themselves, minimizing our carbon footprint by virtue of selecting those materials that are available and local, and make sure that we meet and exceed all the LEED criteria that you expect for a project like that. With that, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the team and answer any specific questions that you have.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You know, each time we see this project, it seems just gets a little bit better and better. But I guess that's what to expect. We got probably close to 100 hours of discussion with both the council and the community involved in this. And I think, generally we have a great consensus on what's going to be a beautiful addition to the town of Cutler Bay. Consensus doesn't give everybody everything they want, but overall, I think it's pretty much what a majority of the people want and satisfies a lot of the needs. But with that, I'm going to open it up for the council for any questions. Vice Mayor Callahan.
No, just a quick comment. Just the closing slide just really said it all. And I'm just so happy that this is a park that has a town center versus a town center that has a park.
Correct.
I really love that.
Any other councilman? Councilman Duncan.
And I'll just reiterate a point that I've made from this day is multiple times. I love the natural feel of this. I love the water, the wetland area, the pond. I love the shape of the park. I think it's going to serve our residents and any visitors to this park really, really well. They're really going to enjoy this. They're really going to enjoy bringing their kids there, and just being outdoors and being part of the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Lord.
Just to reiterate everything that I've said from the start, what really hit me tonight was that in looking at the master plan, it's super exciting. We can have stuff going on in the community center. We can have our town council meetings. We can have kids playing in the tot lot. We can have a farmer's market. All of that can happen all at the same time in comfort and beauty. It's amazing. And like the vice mayor said, that last slide is very impressive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Ramirez, I don't know if you can hear us, if you're remote. Any comments, sir?
I can hear it. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I love the final slide that you put up. It really shows how you guys listened to every single thing that we had put out, all the items that we wanted, and you actually put them exactly where our vision was. So congratulations on that. I also enjoyed the slide that showed the 12 acres still, pretty much there's no concrete on them. You know what I'm saying? The 4 acres are set aside and stuff. So you really kept the thought of what the community really was looking for. And I love Callahan's comment about a park that's got a town hall in it. So thank you guys very much. Beautiful job. Beautiful. Love it.
Great. Thank you.
By the way, he doesn't like it when I call him Callahan. It's Vice Man.
I'm sorry.
Took me about a year to learn that. So Ralph,
I'm in a Starbucks. It's hard to see.
Okay.
Hard to hear.
Okay.
Stuff,
Ralph, sir.
Thank you, members of council. I think another part of the integral part of this team was our owner's rep, which is Emma Jones from Stantec. I think she's on right now. Just some brief comments, because that's the things that go on behind the scenes.
Emma, are you there? Got her muted there or locked?
Oh,
There you are. We can hear you. There you
okay,
go.
wonderful, wonderful. Good evening. Yes, I'm a Jones with Stantec, owner's rep, for the town of Cutler Bay. And, you know, I have to say, I am just over the moon with how this master plan has come together. I mean, from all of the hard work that you all and the residents did compiling the information, you know, a year ahead of time to really, I think, you know, Salts Michelson is just, they've brought the dream sort of to reality. I think, you know, I was watching the presentation and, you know, that sort of wood boardwalk going through with the overlooks to the pond. I texted Ralph and I said, I can just think about sitting out there on a bench or something, reading a book, and it's quiet and it's peaceful. And I think what's so incredible about this plan is that, like Councilmember Lord was saying, you know, there can be an event going on at the community center. There can be something going on at the event pavilion. You've got, you know, the tot area, there can be people playing in the field, but then there's these quiet areas of picnic tables where if you don't want to be in the fray, you can be off to the side. And I just think there's so many great opportunities on this whole site. And I also said to Ralph, I think this is probably one of the best master plans I've seen. So kudos to you guys for gathering all the information, and kudos to Salts Michelson, because I just think it's tremendous.
Thank you. And we do appreciate your work as well. Ralph, anything else, sir?
No, I think, and we'll talk, in terms of next steps, you know, once the council goes through this process, the next steps are going to be really quick now, right? The next steps start like tomorrow or maybe even tonight, right? When we start negotiations with our negotiating team, as we did before in this master planning phase with myself, town attorney's office, as well as our owner's rep to start the negotiation for phase 2. And also, as you're aware, we're also bringing forward, working with the town attorney's office and their construction attorneys, and our owner's rep, the construction firm design assist, you know, RFQ. So I know it's a tight timeline, but at least everybody has a commitment that we're going to have this hopefully for the July 19th council meeting. We don't want to waste another month. You know, there's not a meeting in August. If there will be a budget workshop meeting, that's a different one. But again, we couldn't start the negotiation until we solidified this. So you know, Charles and Monica, you know, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So let's see. Okay.
So do I.
Okay. Mitch, sir.
I just wanted to suggest that before you take a vote, you open the public comment one more time.
Okay, I will do that. That was a plan. And just one other comment. One I didn't mention it. I really like the way that you have the ability for traffic to flow from all segments of the town. So no one neighborhood is burdened with having the traffic. You have Old Cutler entrances, the public entrances, and the neighborhood coming from the south entrances. So it shares at equally. So that's a great design as well. So with that, I'm going to take the town attorney's suggestion. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
A great job. So I'm going to open up for public comments right now. Would anybody like to make a public comment? Anybody want to come forward? As there is none. Anybody in the queue?
No one in the queue.
I will close public comment this time. Council, we got a great project, master plan in front of us. And this is, again, it's like the first real major step. I'm looking for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Vice Mayor Count has a motion to approve. Looking for a second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Congratulations. Get it done, Ralph.
Thank you.
All right. All right. With that, let's go backtrack a little bit. Again, I don't believe I asked Mitch if you had anything to add tonight of an attorney's report. No, are you good? And to the clerk, do you have a report?
Nothing additional.
Okay. All right. With that, then we will go on to our next item. We're